continuing our discussion on inequalities and their graphs. Again, our goal still is to write graph and identify solutions of inequalities. So this time, let's have some terms to remember. Okay, so we will now be talking about graphing of inequalities. So you will be seeing a hollow or a solid dot. What do they mean? Okay, if a number is not included as a solution, a hollow dot is used. If the number is counted as a solution, then you will be using a solid dot for it. Okay, and then the shadow, the arrow or the shading, it will be if the values of the variable are greater than the number, then the shade is to the right or the arrow is pointing to the right. If it is less than, then the shade or the arrow is going to be pointing to the left. Okay, so a few things that I have to emphasize here. Okay, let me just, So when do you use a hollow dot, when do you use a solid dot, just remember that if you have the regular greater than or the regular less than, okay, that when you graph your inequality, it will use a hollow dot. The moment that you have your equal to symbol, so greater than equal to, less than or equal to, then the dot will be shaded. So it's going to be solid dot. Okay, now the nice thing about the shading or the arrow when you are graphing your inequality is that whatever inequality you use, that already is the arrowhead that you are going to show. Okay, and so if you have a greater than, so greater than or equal to, then the arrow is going to the right. And as you can see, the arrowhead is similar to the symbol of the greater than. If you have your less than or equal to, then you are graphing to the left. Okay, let's have some examples here. So what is the graph of 2 is greater than or equal to A? All right, one thing that I would like to highlight here is that it is a lot easier and less confusing if your variable is on the left side. Just like when we were working with equations before, we are so used to having the variable on the left side, and so it will be a lot easier to do the graph if our variable is on the left side, and it's easier to follow which direction of the arrow to use. Okay, so in this case, we can rewrite our 2 greater than or equal to A. So we can have A on the left side and then 2 will be on the right side. Now we are not going to use the same inequality. You have to remember that because we switched positions, you just have to make sure that you follow where the opening for the greater than or the less than is. So as you can see, it is opening towards 2, and so it will follow the same thing. Okay, so that is how we can rewrite 2 greater than or equal to A. It will become A is less than or equal to 2. So how are you going to graph this? So if you have your number line, okay, this is our number line. We are looking at the number 2. So your point of reference will always be 0. Okay, 2 is on the right side of 0, so we can have it over here. Okay, so now what kind of dot are we going to use with 2? Because our inequality has the equal to symbol in here, then we will be using a solid dot. So it's going to be like that. Okay, and as you can see, the arrowhead here is pointing to the left, so less than. All the numbers that are less than 2 are to its left, and so we will be putting our arrow like that. Okay, as simple as that. That's our inequality. 2 is greater than or equal to A. Let's have the next example. Okay, so our next example is x is greater than -4. Okay, so again, our number line. Oops, sorry. I try my best to have it as straight as I can, but you have to forgive me. Our point of reference will always be 0. -4 is on the left side or right side of 0. Negatives are always on the left side, and so this will be -4 over here. So what kind of dot are we going to use with -4? because our inequality is just a regular greater than, so no equal to symbol, so it's going to be a hollow dot. It's an open dot, and our arrowhead is pointing to the right, okay? X is greater than, all the numbers greater than -4 are to its right, and so that's how the graph would look like, okay? So why don't you try the next two examples? Go ahead. All right, so our next example was C less than 0. Our point of reference is 0. Less than is an open dot, a hollow dot pointing to the left. Our variable, we need it to be on the left side as usual, so we have to rewrite it, and it's, you can see we will have a solid dot and it's pointing to the right, okay? So this time, let's do it the opposite way. Let's have the graph. I don't know why the pictures were on a different, how do you call this, animation. So this time, we have the graph, we have to identify the inequality, okay? So let's start with our example. So we know we can always just use the same variable if you would like. So let's use X, okay? Looking at the dot, because it's a solid dot, we know that there will be an equal symbol, okay? And where do we get the inequality? So as you can see, the arrow is on the right side. So you take a look where the arrow is. So this is your arrowhead, remember? So that's the sign, that's your inequality already. So you have an inequality that says X is greater than or equal to, what number did we start with? -1, okay? How about this next example here? So let's have again X, just X. Our point of reference is now +4, so leave it there, okay? So where is our arrowhead? The arrow is going to the left, and if you take a look at the arrowhead, its shape is like that, and so it's going to be a less than. Now the question is, do we put an equal sign with it? Well, taking a look at our dot, it's an open dot, so we do not put an equal to symbol in there, okay? So try these other two examples on your own. Go ahead. So your two other inequalities will be X is less than -3 because it's a hollow dot, and the next one is X is greater than or equal to 0, as you can see, solid dot and pointing to the right, okay?